unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Champion Caleb Plant delivers Canelo Alvarez more bad news. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help the channel when you guys click on that link. You can also bundle it, ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu, $12.99, all three apps. Let's get it. Caleb Plant looked sensational. You know, he was fighting a hometown feel-good fight against a guy, Fane Butts, 31-3, 28 knockouts. Seemed pretty durable, but he wasn't on the level of Caleb Plant. Now, there were some rumors circulating that Golden Boy offered Caleb Plant an offer, and bad news, Caleb Plant says he won't be fighting Canelo in May, and he explains he is not going to, you know, rush it. And I'm going to give you his exact quotes, and then I'll give you more of my thoughts. Caleb Plant said to the Canelo offers and the rumors that the Golden Boy reached out, he says, how far away is May? So that means I have half a month off after a 3.5 month camp, and then we go right back to work, right? So they asked him about, hey, would you fight Canelo? He says, how far away is May? He said, that means I have a half a month off after a 3.5 month camp, and then that means we go right back to work, right? Just so they can try and get me when I'm overworked. So you control the narrative, you control the medium. Golden Boy, they make an offer when I just fought. So when I say no, then they make it seem like I'm ducking them and ducking Canelo. So you control the narrative, you control the medium. Don't let them fool you. Like I said, I'm a world champion. I'm a world-class fighter, and I'm on my time. This is CP time, and that's Caleb Plant time. They want me to take half a month off and then get right back to work after a 3.5 month camp. 6 weeks of a pre-camp. Like I said, don't be fooled. So we're going to get to him. He's got fights left on his contract with DAZN. Why doesn't he go and beat Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Smith, become unified, and then I'll whoop David Benavidez, and then I'll become unified. Then we could fight for all the marbles. That sounds a bit better to me. Ooh. Man, Caleb, that's my dude, bro. Very articulate and well-spoken with his thoughts. His ring IQ is obviously there if you ever talk to him, but you could see it in his fights as well. And I love this response from him. Now, the bad side for Canelo is this. New media. The walls are closing in for Mr. Saul Canelo Alvarez. As I've mentioned, you know, I just keep saying a lot of the same stuff for a while and constantly keep getting proven right. Canelo's star power is dwindling. Like I've been saying, I was probably the first one to just come out and recognize it and point it out, because everyone was saying Canelo's the face of boxing still, which he was. But the way he's being managed, being trapped on an app, surrendering and succumbing and bowing down to UFC 244, which was a terrible look and decision by DAZN and Golden Boy and whoever else made that decision, playing UFC's fight at his fight, having him in the back lounging on the couch and have to re-warm up and all that. You know, that was a huge hit. Canelo's numbers don't come out anymore. We just have to guess how he's doing. You know, it's all fabricated at this point, unless they can show some numbers that he's still the biggest draw. I think people are growing tired also of the games and the gamesmanship, the strategies, the stipulations, the weight class jumps, the strategy to catch people slipping or sleeping. It's just all too familiar, and I told you that. And the worst part about it for Canelo is he's a very good fighter. I don't think he needs all this. I don't think he needs weight stipulations in, you know, majority of his recent fights, or rehydration clauses in all of his fights, or this and that. He could probably beat guys without that. But it's like Canelo, in his mind, you know, he feels that he's earned this spot, so now he wants to tax everybody. And the bad side for it is with people like Caleb Plant, he's actually getting rejected, and that is not something you traditionally see when someone is the face of boxing or the A side. What happened with Canelo's last fight with the UFC 244 in the Kovalev situation, taking a backseat to another unrelated match and really a rival match, you made the decision, DAZN made the decision, Golden Boy made the decision to compete. UFC announced that they were fighting Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal for the BMF, you know, and this was a known thing before Canelo's fight got sold up. They thought Canelo, they overshot it, you know, and they thought, oh, it's Canelo Alvarez. Nobody cares about that UFC. And then when they seen Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was going to present the winner with the belt, they seen that they had a better press conference. They seen that Dana White and the UFC did a better job promoting it, and they seen the interest level, and they seen probably a lack of people joining DAZN. They decided to fall back and play the background and wait for the UFC main event to end so they could finally go up, because they wanted people to come after. It was just a horrible look. Now you're seeing people reject Mr. A-side Canelo, who old media is still trying to say is the face of boxing. He's popular, but he's not the face of boxing. He's not. His team ain't even moving like the face of boxing. There's rumors that he's not even on speaking terms with Oscar De La Hoya. So there's trouble in paradise there. And then the decisions that are being made for his career, the lack of presence for his fights, the lack of promotion, his numbers aren't coming out. He's waiting for UFC 244, and now he's being rejected. You never seen any of this with Floyd Money Mayweather. We know he was the A-side when he had his run, and this never happened. You never seen Floyd wait for UFC to end so he could fight. He knew he had the biggest show in town or in the world, so they ran it. If they had anything that they had to compete with, you know, it usually didn't play a part. I can't think of an example where Floyd Mayweather waited for another combat sport to end so he can come out, you know, and try to pace it like you're synchronized swimmers or something, like you're a package deal with the UFC. You don't have anything to do with that UFC card, yet you're trying to, you know, synchronize it and have your fight happen immediately after their fight ends. That was just pitiful. But fast forward to this, he's being rejected. Caleb Plant said, I'm not fighting him in May. They're not going to catch me like with no time to spend with my family, my new wife, and off of a performance. I just did a 3.5 month camp, and then they're going to try to make it look like I'm ducking. Don't fall for it. Don't believe the hype. I'm a champion. Treat me as such. And, you know, this is just more bad news for Golden Boy and Team Canelo, because it's proving that people aren't playing the Canelo game anymore. Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Smith reportedly received offers to fight Canelo, and it's been reported from ESPN. De La Hoya was asked about it. These guys have denied and denounced or declined the initial offer. These guys said, no, I'm not fighting him under those terms. Whatever those terms are, whatever that paycheck or purse was, they are not with it. That's a bad look for Canelo Alvarez, because, again, there's something that his team is doing and things that they're putting the contract, and people aren't falling for the okie doke anymore. This is a sure telltale sign, a sure shot that Canelo's star power is fading on the DAZN app. Because before, he could get away with all these games and the stipulations, and just for the opportunity, people would bend over backwards to try to get that shot. You know, I want to fight Canelo, and this is a career high payday. People were willing to do the rehydration, but he keeps doing it, and it keeps getting called out. And now he's running out of foes and oppositions to make big events, and now these guys realize it. Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Smith and Caleb Plant, you know, these guys are all champions at 168, right? Billy Joe Saunders can fight Caleb Smith and do a UK fight, you know, a all Eddie Hearn matchroom card. They don't need Canelo. That's a big fight right there, at least for the UK. They can make good money doing that. Billy Joe Saunders could fight Andrade, another Eddie Hearn fighter. Billy Joe Saunders can fight Danny Jacobs, right? Caleb Smith can fight Danny Jacobs. This is all in-house in Eddie Hearn without Golden Boy needed. And you could present this, and these would be nice fights for the fans. Canelo is not needed. See, that's how you know his star power is waning, because when you're the A side, everything kind of revolves around you. Like you look at Gervonta Tank Davis, everybody's mentioning him. Lomachenko was on ESPN, a network not affiliated with Mayweather Promotions or PBC, and he says, I want to fight Teofimo. After that, I want Gervonta Davis. Ryan Garcia on a rival network and on his Twitter, he says he wants to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. See, so that's how you know he's the big face in that division, because everyone keeps calling him out. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Lomachenko, etc. People are checking for it because he's hot, his profile's hot, etc. Canelo is losing star power, so you know people are actually rejecting the offer. Kovalev, the Muradov thing didn't work out. Derevyanchenko said they weren't getting enough money, and then he ended up fighting Golovkin and really should have beat him, right? Now Caleb Plant's telling you the same thing. This is what I told you. They caught Kovalev slipping, and Kovalev looked horrible, and he was still winning. He was still winning the fight with just a lazy jab, no follow-up, no 2 and 3, you know, just a 1, just some jabs. Didn't look like he was putting any conviction or mustard or sting on the punches, even though he's a lethal puncher, right? And he was still doing all right. And then he gets allegedly, you know, brutally knocked out with 2 shots around, or like 1 around the guard. It was just a bad look. It looked FAF. I keep telling you, it looked FAF. The people see it. And regardless of what you feel about that fight, the bottom line is Kovalev had a tough fight, and he had a quick turnaround, and he looked like a shell of his former self. So Caleb Plant, he's making money. He just looked great. He has options. He could fight David Benavidez. They don't need Canelo. David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, you know, is a great fight. That's a great fight. I would pay pay-per-view if that's what it was, and that's what, you know, how I had to watch it. I would pay for that. That's a great fight. Backstory: David Benavidez, his attitude. First of all, he speaks English, unlike Canelo, who's not really doing full-on interviews with English. So he could say his side of the story. The pre-bill would be better, you know, because they have the beef and the backstory and whatever else. And David Benavidez has been going at Caleb Plant, vice versa. Caleb Plant been sending shots at him. So there's these built-in inherent stories. You don't have to go through Canelo. Yeah, do these guys want to fight Canelo? Sure. But, you know, they're not desperate to fight him and bow down to every, you know, stipulation and stuff like that, to the point where it doesn't make sense. So whatever Golden Boy's doing doesn't look to be working. I can't wait to see who Canelo decides to fight. You know, I think they have to kind of come correct, stop with the rehydration clause and the quick turnaround, fight people under fair terms, give them time to rest and recover and repair. You know, there's a lot of old media that they're going to say, oh, Kovalev did it, but he also got knocked out, and now nobody's even checking for him. You know what I mean? And he said he didn't have, after he complained, said he didn't have enough time to prepare, and it was impossible for him to win. So if it's already hard enough to beat Canelo on a fair playing field with judges' scorecards, why are you going to do that to yourself? And then on top of that, have a rehydration clause and all these stipulations. So quick turnaround, rehydration clauses, you know, Canelo's unbeatable on scorecard. People aren't falling for it anymore. Why would you want to get a potential blemish? And I think Caleb Plant gives Canelo a whole lot of problems. You know, you could really argue that he'll beat Canelo, but it's not about that, because you don't even know if you're going to get a fair one. Caleb Plant would be the visiting fighter on DAZN. Canelo is supposed to be the face of boxing still. And, you know, like I said, he's very hard to beat on the scorecards. You know, he seems to get a lot of love from the judges. So, you know, with all things considered, these fighters are smartening up, and they're not playing the Canelo game. Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Smith, Kovalev in the first negotiations, etc. And DAZN has created this environment. Now everybody's asking for a lot of money. They started that, you know, expressing and constantly flexing and showing, oh, Canelo's getting 40 million and 36 million, and Danny Jacobs got 12 million. Kovalev argued and got 12 million. They put all the business and broadcasted all the people's paychecks and stuff. Now you think Caleb Smith and Billy Joe Saunders want to fight for less than what the last two guys got when they're champions as well? You think a champion just watch another champion, Kovalev, lose, and a champion like Caleb Plant wants to fight with a quick turnaround? I mean, it's not right. It's not fair. This is not, again, old media, they're going to try to find all these excuses and say, oh, back in the day, Sugar Ray Robinson fought every 2 weeks. The game was different back then. You had to fight frequently. You had to fight. Some fighters fought every 2 weeks, multiple times per month. You know, that's why the term taxi driver, cab driver came up, because people were fighting everyday guys with regular jobs at that time. So, I mean, you can't really compare current modern 2020 boxing to boxing back in the 50s or 60s. They had also been dealing with civil rights issues, and you know, we could look through history and pick out a time like the 30s, Great Depression, and compare 2020 and what it's like with YouTube and all these social medias. That doesn't really compare to what they went through in the 1930s. You know, major droughts and economic depressions. So, you know, it doesn't really make sense to say, oh, Caleb Plant, that's just a cop-out for Canelo man fans. That Caleb Plant has to sacrifice everything, not get to spend time, not get to relax. I mean, you do that. Go work 10 hours and then get home, drive all the home, ready to eat and spend time with your family, and then get called back into work. Say, hey, we need you to come, even though your day off was tomorrow, we need you to come in at 5 a.m. tomorrow. You know what I mean? And you're getting home the previous night, and it's already 10 p.m. and you ain't even ate dinner, and they're telling you have to be right back at work. Nobody's going to want that. Just because the Caleb Plant's fight looked easy doesn't mean that he didn't train hard. You know, looking easy, that's what you train hard for, so it looks easy on the night. But you know, you got to respect the grind, and you got to respect that Caleb Plant disciplines his body, stays in shape, and despite the fight looking easy, it's not easy to keep a heavy-handed guy off you for 10, 11 rounds or whatever it was, and go through a long camp. He said he trained for 3.5 months, so he don't deserve. So Canelo get to rest from November all the way to May, you know, all the way to March, where, you know, he gets in camp, April or whenever he gets in camp, and enjoy the holidays and Christmas and New Year's, and then Caleb Plant's up here training for, you know, a fight. Like, that's not fair. Come on. So yeah, I think people are getting hip and growing hip to the games, and they're not falling for it. They're not like bending at Canelo's every beck and call, and it's getting harder. So I really want to see what they do. And I think Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Smith both coming off bad performances. These aren't really big American fights, and it sounds like they want better deals and more money. So yeah, I'm curious to see how Golden Boy is going to handle this, because how they going to keep giving up more money for fights that don't, you know, get you out of the red. Very interesting stuff. But shout out to Caleb Plant for standing his ground and saying, yeah, like, I've talked to Caleb and he wants to fight Canelo. He wants the big fights, but I salute to him for, you know, not selling out. You know, that's kind of what it is. You have a great career ahead of yourself. You just look spectacular. And then you bend to something, you know, that's thirsty. That's desperate. Canelo's career is not even popping, you know, like it once was, like when he was fighting Cotto and Mayweather. He's not doing over $1 million, or at least if he is doing over $1 million, which I don't believe, because if he was doing over $1 million in America only, where he has done $1 million, then why wouldn't DAZN brag about it? They're talking about, oh, Canelo, he generated 1.8 million views in 9 different territories that DAZN is in. Miss me with that, because that's cap. Because DAZN is available in Japan and Italy and Spain. There's free trials over there. So what counts is where he's been established in America. There's no DAZN Mexico. So Canelo's fights are being distributed through TV Azteca or somewhere else. DAZN is not. They have not set up shop in Mexico, and the only place that doesn't, out of the 9 markets that don't have the free trial anymore, is America. So I want to know his American numbers only, which DAZN refuses to announce. So you mixing in these other 8 markets and territories really means nothing, because there's no guarantee that all those people are paying customers. I mean, yeah, I'll watch something if it's free. Anybody will watch something that's free. Like, oh, cool, boxing. All I have to do is sign up for a free trial. Tell us how many paid customers. If DAZN really, if they were really being successful right now with their boxing programming, then tell us how many paid customers are watching Canelo's fights. You know, show the paperwork for that. So the walls are closing in. Like I said, new media, digital mob. If you love what I am doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. We Unpack, coming to you live. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.